Before I step into some of my notes, I just want to highlight, just rewind back 20 years back. If you put the Fortune 100 companies 20 years back, you could make a list. If you do a Google search, you will know all the list of Fortune 100 companies 20 years back. And today in 2020, if we do the Google search and compare the Fortune 100 companies today and what it was in 2000, you'll see a variety of difference. What you might have seen or what you might notice is pretty much 95% of entry into the Fortune 100 will be the technology accelerators, primarily the companies who have excelled in products or the platform. And also we all know Apple, Microsoft, Google, they are the first ones to get into the $1 trillion market cap, and now they are surpassing the $2 trillion market cap as well. Now, if I have to predict what is going to happen in the next 20 years, maybe some of us may be alive, and all of us will be alive for sure. 2040, we will see in the same Fortune 100, I'm predicting that we will have at least 50-60% of the companies who have done incubators and accelerators on the artificial intelligence. That's the kind of the scope the AI is driving, and that is the kind of the scope the AI will actually eventualize in the coming years. Little bit, I want to go and explain in a very traditional way, because we have professors from IIT and a lot of educationalists also. We are here. Very simple formula what we followed in our school days and college days, right? Inputs, process, and output. I just want to put the entire AI context in the governance in this three simple process. So if I have to talk about inputs, I'm sure today, your head might be whirling around because data, everybody talk about data. Bear with me, I'm also going to talk about data. I think data has become not only the foundational, that has become the core component if you have to do anything. If you do not have any data, you cannot build anything. So that has become not only the foundation as a core component. But now what happens is there are two key components, sub-components to it. One is the accuracy of the data. What happens, Professor Nandan was talking about today, a lot of people, very excited to do a lot of artificial intelligence project because this word is a buzzword. Even this is a buzzword in the venture capitalists. If you go and say that, Kevin.ai, I'm actually doing a human AI work, I need $10 million investment, there is a huge possibility that you will get an investment onto it because the buzzword that AI drives. But what is the foundational element is again the data. A lot of times what we miss is we do not spend time in collecting, curating, and collaborating the data elements. So two things are very important, the accuracy of the data and the completeness of the data. If you have 10% accuracy, your output will also be 10%, which is useless and meaningless. If you have an accuracy of at least 70-80%, the output, what Dr. Neeraj talked about, the decision intelligence, that will be purposeful, meaningful for you to make the right decision. So primarily accuracy and the completeness of data on any project that you are doing, that's very important. Three other elements is about data structuring, data segmenting, and data sequencing. A lot of time, again, the developers or the engineers, their core motive is to get into the coding and try to put a model, because they want to show in next 3 months something working, phonetically very well and making everybody happy. But my suggestion is always when you engage in a project, if it is a 90-day project, you spend 80 days in the data part. 10 days is enough for you to crack the code and bring, because there are a lot of low code, no code configurable components available today. There are a lot of open AIs available that can actually build the engine if we have the data segmented and properly structured and properly sequenced. Now, big data is a big thing that you all talked about. Today, the big data is actually getting diminished into small data. So today, because of the trends and the movement that is happening in the artificial intelligence arena, the small data and the wide data are the core component and essential, because like he talked about, my previous speaker talked about the speed, agility. To achieve that, you need a small chunk of data. And wide data primarily talks about the variability, so you can expand the scope and improve the quality of the outcome. So these are some of the essential inputs before you even actually evangelize or get into any of the work that you do in the process technology. So primarily, I don't want to say these are those buzzwords: artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, Internet of Things, because Internet of Things produces a lot of data. We have around 80-90 million people in the state. Approximately, if you put 4.5 per person, no devices. Devices could be usage of your machine, laptop, mobile, your smart TV and all that, right? So already in this stage, what we have is close to around 320 million devices actually generating data every day, which is again, billions of data is getting generated every day. And predictive analytics. And primarily, I want to talk about the key three trends that is actually shaping, and that is going to shape the artificial intelligence, the next wave. The first, I want to talk about the composite AI. Some of the speakers previously, they also touched upon some of the case studies aligned to the composite AI. I will give a very high level view because the time limit what we have. Composite AI primarily focus on the combining applications and using all those AI techniques together. It could be machine learning, it could be your traditional methods, it could be your graph analysis, all that AI techniques in a combination way you can use. And primarily that deals with the small data. And also it expands the scope to improve the efficiency of the outcome through a semi-supervised kind of a learning environment. But that's again, that's one other buzzing thing that's happening in today's market. And that will be an essential for us from an e-governance perspective. The second is about the generative AI, which is very, very important and very key thing because it actually allows and uses billions and billions of data in terms of tokens and data sets and actually creates new content, new images based on the existing data sets, whatever it has. Primarily, it has around three sections, we call GANs, like generative adversarial networks, neural networks. And it works on, again, subdivisions of, one is kind of more of a generator, which generates a new data. Another is a discriminator. It discriminates the source data versus the new data and gives that the original content. And Dr. Neeraj spoke about in the morning about some of the transformers. And this is going to actually really transform, generative pre-trained transformers, GPT we call. It has actually changing the game in the AI. Now, today we are in the GPT-3. It is using nearly 500 billion token data sets from an algorithmic perspective and learning perspective. And predominantly what they're now guessing and predicting is, if it goes for the GPT-4 and GPT-5, we don't need any domain knowledge. I think GPT-4 and GPT-5 can actually do a lot of work across the domain centric. And also variational auto encoders, that's other layer in the generative. And responsible AI primarily talks about, and again, morning we had a lot of sessions about the biasness, how we can actually eradicate the biasness, how we can actually bring fairness into the data, because sometimes, a lot of data is getting injected. It will always have a biasness into the data. So this will help to eradicate those biasness and bring a lot of fairness and trust, transparency, as well as the safety, security, and the data protection, which is a very, very key component. Now, these are the three things which are actually taking a very, very positive shape and trending from an AI perspective, the composite AI, the generative AI, as well as the responsible AI. Now, having said that, what is more essential is about the data protection, because a lot of people talk about the data, but the important component today, what is happening is the data privacy, data protection, and the cyber resilience. The amount of input, whatever we are actually spending on collection of the data, the same amount of effort and commitment that need to be provided in terms of the securing the data, what we are actually transmitting, because the individual's data becoming in the public, actually that is actually creating a lot of challenge in the market as well. The data protection, data privacy, and cyber security. And more important aspect is about the awareness. If I look from a consumer point of view, right, I'm a consumer. I'm not worried about, I'm a common man. I'm going to a shop or I'm going to an e-seva center. I'm not worried about all the technology elements, what you're using. For me, what is important is, number one, I used to stand for 5 years in the queue. Can I get my work done in 5 minutes? That is the success of this technology, right? The efficiency that it drives. And can I get all the data if I'm going for a service in a e-seva center or any other centers, the government service center? Can I get it in an accurate form? I do not need to come for the recorrection or some modifications or duplications, right? That is where the experience. So the efficiency, the experience, and primarily the ease of service and empowerment, ultimately the results that achieve. These are the core areas, because all the technology has to be encapsulated. It should not be shown outside. What the consumers need to feel is about efficiency, the experience, and the ease of the service, as well as they feel that I'm empowered, right? I don't need to go and stand in the queue or need to pass 10 different offices. I can touch a button, use my speech recognition. I can actually derive the service in a single touch or in a contactless mode of operations. And I have 5 suggestions primarily. So I think one is, we have a lot of government functions and government departments, right? Now, with the technology element, there is always an opportunity to integrate all the services. right? One person from an individual point of view, I may have to interface with multiple government departments, multiple government functions, or variety of services. Should I need to go and hop between those departments, or should I need to actually go through in a single one source of mechanisms? That is how this integration of services that comes to greater play. And huge appreciations for the TNeGA for their primarily the facial recognition program, what they're doing, the voice recognition, and Ullavan app. There's a lot of next level of things. These are like tested, proven. Now the next is about scaling it forward, how we can actually use the facial recognition, what you have tested in the government schools and some other areas. Can that be a product into the entire Tamil Nadu ecosystem? Even the private sectors can also actually subscribe your model and use it. Can you take the lead and deliver that product to the entire state? AI systems to govern infrastructure. I want to rightly time, Professor Nandan has come back. So I want to put a challenge to IIT team saying that, today the waterlogging is a big problem, right? Every year we are going through that, every year going through some of the challenges, and it actually kind of became a kind of a repeated issue. Can there be a one solution, a permanent solution? Can the technology solve the solution? Right? Can we have AI nodes, completely take the perimeter and the graphical representation of the state as well as the city, and have use those sensors, IoT devices, and have those AI nodes? It collects a lot of data. We have CCTVs across the entire city. Can that image is captured, run through the algorithm, through those models, and able to predict, saying that what is actually really causing it, or able to predict much in advance, saying that these are the costs that is going to come in, prepare and prevent it in a much better way. Can that be a case study that I'm really putting forward to the IIT team, as well as to a lot of entrepreneurs who you're here, right? You can actually take a challenge to resolve the infrastructure challenges, what actually the city is facing, as well as the state is facing, as well as resolving the institution problems. So many kids related crimes today are happening, right? Again, can we have a sensors in every school? If a kid is having a problem, red button, green button, whatever presses the button, AI models and algorithms sitting in a centralized zone, it analyzes it and puts into a solution. It connects directly to the nearest police station and provides a quick contact, so that before the kid is getting harassed or whatever the challenge is happening to that particular kid, the corrective action can be taken. Because reaction and reactive is good. We are very good in reactive methodology, but how we can actually be very proactive and prevent, because today we do not know how many other harassments and other social issues are happening in that. And individuals, primarily, it talks about the fraud detection, as well as also mention about social smart policing. I think it's a very important one, and there are a lot of other mechanisms and tools are available to actually make sure a good environment-free and a good governed citizen. Quickly, I'll talk about the AI models to monitor government schemes. There are a lot of schemes actually goes in. How many people are aware of it? How it is actually getting utilized by the people? And collection of dues. There are so much dues could be a good revenue generating mechanism for the government itself using those AI models. And I want to, because of the time limit, I just want to touch upon one thing. Sometimes we provide solution may not be the right solution for the people, may not be the right solution for the citizen. Can we use an AI model or AI system, first of all, number one, to collect the problem? Is there a way where people can voice out their problem through the systems? The systems do all those data aggregation and pattern the input, whatever that is coming in, and puts to the heads of the department, say that these are the top 5 problems, right? Because what are the percentage of the people have seen? It could be the data source could be multiple. It could be the on-field collection or image processing, or it could be in observation. Multiple various ways of collecting those data. That I would leave that with the note. And not one of the last thing I had was the AI in agriculture. I think everybody talked about it, and that is the biggest opportunity, because if you go and check our GDP contribution, right? And today we are like 18% of the GDP. But if you go back and check maybe a couple of decades before, what was our GDP? So it's like kind of a declining on that agriculture, but agriculture is a backbone for the GDP. And for Tamil Nadu also, it's like a 13%. There is a significant opportunity on this space to elevate and improve the number that also help to achieve that honorable CM's overall vision of that $1 trillion economy. I will stop here, and thank you.